Start with a dream and share it with some friends. The idea deepens and grows. The dream takes shape, it has form and substance. A community soon arose. A listening room, a hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. The walls are thin, and sirens blare. The tables sit, we're folding chairs. The stage is set with paint and blue, and love went into every screw. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. The light shine bright on every star. They come to play from near and far. A listening room, the hearing room, a place to find a home to play. A listening room, the hearing room. Express yourself and have your say. Hearing room, a listening room. You're welcome here, so have no fear. The hearing room, the hearing room. Come in, my friend, where art can bloom. And welcome to the Woodshed podcast. My name's Aaron Tornberg, and I'm here today with Roberta Lamb, who is going to be talking to us about her life in music. So, how are you doing, Roberta?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, and I will be with you in just a moment as we first talk about the Hearing Room.
Great.
So the Hearing Room, as you know, is a 501c3 nonprofit. We have lots of events every day of the week, and you should definitely come and check it out. We have Monday night, I'm doing this podcast, but we do have a blues jam on the second Monday of each month. And we also have Tuesday night open mic on Tuesday at 7 to 10 p.m. We do an open mic. It's a pretty standard one, 2 or 3 songs each, and you perform in front of other musicians and an audience, and it's a lot of fun. And then Wednesday, Let's Have Words. That's the spoken word evening. Spoken word evening is 7 to 10 p.m. as well. Let's Have Words is Wednesday night. Then Thursday, we have the Singin' Jam. Everybody plays together. Everybody in the room has a guitar, and you all follow the chords and the words on the screen. Couple guitar solos in each song, and it's lots of fun. It's run by Mark Alio. It's a good time. Then Fridays and Saturdays vary. Friday night, there is a jam twice. There's a Irish jam that's the first Friday of the month, and the third Friday of the month is a bluegrass jam. And we're looking at doing maybe a blues jam in place of the Irish jam. We'll see how this one goes. We need more Irish jammers if you want to come to that. Otherwise, we're probably going to alternate with the blues jam. And then Saturday night, we have different events like Performance Lab, The Drone, which is where you come and make a lot of noise with electronic instruments, and it sort of becomes great music. It's really fun. You should check it out. It's not for everybody, but it's a great evening, and if you want to do experimental playing with sound, it's great. So Sundays, we have the Drum Circle, 12:30 to 1:30. The Drum Circle is always a good time because you don't really have to play anything except the drum. There is no other instruments except drum-related, percussion-related things. So we have lots of them here, and you can borrow one, bring your own, whatever you like, but it's a drum circle, and it's led by a great drummer. Joshua, and he will guide you through it. Then I have an open mic that I run on Sundays, 2 to 5 p.m., and it's sort of a laid-back afternoon of sharing songs in a song circle. So lots of things to do at the Hearing Room. Please come check us out at hearingroom.net. And then we have the Greenville Junction Shop. The Greenville Junction Shop is in Greenville, New Hampshire, and in Clinton, Massachusetts. They are an upcycling and used items reseller. So if you want to find some great used stuff, they've got it there at the Greenville Junction Shop. That's Greenville, Greenville, Junction, as in junk, Junction, not Junc like it's actually spelled. It's Junction, Shoppe, Shoppe. So go to the Greenville Junction Shop at Facebook. They also do garage cleanout and estate cleanout, and they sell items from household items, electronics, toys, anything that is usable, that is used, you can get. And, you should upcycle. You should get those used items that are still good and give them a little more life. So check out the Greenville Junction Shop. They also have some items for sale on Facebook Marketplace. So now we're going to talk with Roberta Lamb. Roberta, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm having a blast listening to all the fun things to do here at the Hearing Room.
Yeah, it's a fun place to hang out. And I know you've been here and you've done Songwriters in the Round and some other events. I think you did Women in Music. Did you do the Women in Music?
I did the Women in Music.
Yeah.
I did open mics, features, I think a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's fun, yeah. No, this is a really fabulous place and great people and lots of cool stuff to do here. You guys can't see all of the interesting books that are surrounding us and very cool art and very interesting things like the mannequin with a wig and a mask and fun stuff. Hearing Room is very rich with creative ideas.
And we're in Lowell, Massachusetts, so it's convenient for a lot of people. You should come check it out. But do you still do your open mic?
Well, no, sadly, that sort of wasn't able to continue. It went well for a good long while, and we had some nice, loyal players and patrons that came. But I think the restaurant was ultimately interested more in selling their food and sort of we lost out to private parties and things like that.
Well, that's what's different about the Hearing Room from a restaurant. That's why this is cool, because we're run by musicians specifically so we can cater to the musicians who want to perform and not worry about you have to make the money from food or whatever.
Right. No, but it was a wonderful experiment, and it was a win-win, I think, for the restaurant while it worked for them. And it was very interesting. We had a lot of people who we wouldn't normally see at open mics get very moved by our music, and it was fun.
And do you think you're going to do another one?
Well, if I have time. I mean, the good news is I'm starting to get really busy with the music, writing more, playing more, so sometimes I need those free nights in case I get an opportunity to do, some more playing. I'm open to moving around and going to different places to play. So I've been keeping myself pretty busy, and I've had the good fortune to play a lot with Kenny Seltzer, and he's an awesome player and also a really good sport about making car trips places. So we've gone a bit a ways up to New Hampshire, down to Rhode Island, all around Massachusetts.
Where are you in recordings? Are you thinking of doing?
So I just recorded my first album.
Yeah.
I guess album has replaced the term CD, right?
Yes.
So it's called Not Your Mama's Blues, and it's all originals. And I was very happy to play some solo, and some Kenny plays with me and sings with me, and then also the very talented Steve Gilligan and Bernie Jedry join in on several of the numbers. So they're both great. One, Steve is a well-known bass player, and Bernie Jedry is a super talented percussion guy who just came up with all kinds of brilliant ideas to bring some life with. I've fallen in love with all of the percussion instruments. Right. So the drum circle sounds really cool to me. But anyway, so that's Not Your Mama's Blues. You can download it and stream it and go to robertalamb.com and get it all linked. It's all everywhere now, and it's even in the stores where I shop. I've given a few CDs to the stores. I went into one store, and I went in 2 different times, and they were playing the same CD, which was James Taylor. It was a really nice CD. And I said, "Oh, you like this? Do you ever play other CDs?" And then they confessed that they only own one CD. Okay. So I gave them a copy of my CD. So I'll have to go in one day and hear if they play it too. And
did you? Are you looking at recording more? When was this released?
It was released in October, and I just had the CD release party last month. Okay. So it's pretty much hot off the shelves. I'm going to have to play these songs out a while and then start up a whole new round.
All right, so you can people can check that out online.
Yeah.
Why don't we hear a song?
Sure. All right.
Is this from the CD?
It is.
Okay.
This is a song that's sort of a shout out to our environmental woes. It's called Let's Drink to That, kind of a play on a song by Rihanna. But it's really it's not a bar drinking song. It's about water quality. And it's a shout out to scientists, of which we have a bunch in our little musical circle and in our communities. Let's drink to that. The water was wide, but we crossed o'er and made this land a source of pride. We built canals and brought the goods to folks in every neighborhood. We logged and fished and made it flow, but we can't get by without H2O. But time and neglect have taken a toll. We need innovation and some damage control. The one in charge just wants to cash in, but we'll prevent his satisfaction. We know he has no self-control. He runs on greed, mines all the coal. So let's drink to the scientists that stay up at night, figuring out how to keep us all right. 'Cause they're not the ones that seek the limelight. They work side by side, just trying to do right. They're looking for ways to keep our water pristine, preserving our tides and our evergreens. So let's drink to the bravest among our crew, who stand up to the bravest among our crew, who stand up to fight, you know. We're working on our precious water supply. We're taking out arsenic and pesticides. Before it's destroyed, let's set up some goals and write some laws without loopholes. We know he has no self-control. He runs on greed, mines all the coal. Let's drink to the scientists that stay up at night, figuring out how to keep us alright. 'Cause they're not the ones that seek the limelight. They work side by side, just trying to do right. They're looking for ways to keep our water pristine, preserving our tides and our evergreen. So let's drink to the bravest among our crew, who stand up to fight, you know. Thanks, Aaron. Thank you.
So, I think I've heard that one before.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like. It's sort of like an ode to science.
It's an ode to science.
Yeah,
right.
that's great. Let me ask you about your background.
Sure.
Where did you grow up?
So I'm from Dallas, Texas, believe it or not. And
do you own a cowboy hat?
I do not.
Okay.
It's funny. People think everybody in Texas rides around on horses, but Dallas considers itself a little bit more cultured, but it's, compared to other places. But I don't know. I love Texas. It's a really beautiful place, and I was born and raised there and lived there until I went off to college, and my family stayed there, and always, it's home to me. It really is. Always will be, I think.
So you lived in Dallas. We were just talking a little before the show. So you were not a big fan of country music growing up, though.
No, I'm just putting this guitar away. Let's see. Not really. I think I was incredibly fortunate to have two fabulous parents and lovely siblings. I'm the youngest of four, and but my parents, one was a little bit more in the medical field. My dad, both of them incredibly poor, and not enough money for education. That wasn't even anything that anybody could even consider. But my dad did scrape enough money to go to optometry school, and in those days you could go directly to get a professional degree without college. So he was able to do that. My mom was self-taught. But she herself, back to this country music question, they were both from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they actually knew each other in high school, though they didn't date until I think their first date was the senior prom. But my mom was very big in arts of all kinds. Apparently she was a communist and read communist literature when she was young and went to see dance and, whatever. I mean, they were incredibly poor. She used to tell stories about the circus coming to town, and she and her siblings would go to where the circus had been, and they would scrounge around in the dirt and see if they could find a few spare pennies or nickels or something. So it was that kind of a life. But she did always dream of the arts. So she instilled in us a great love of the arts and took me really to see classical performances and bought records. I remember, I'm back of that old. I remember one of the very first record that they got me, and a whole series of. And they would travel. They would go to New Orleans, and they would bring home records of, Louis Armstrong and Al Hirt, and they'd go on these other trips. They'd bring home those musical instruments from the islands. So it was really fun. She was really interested in the arts, and country music just didn't really weigh in. Except, if I'd go to other people's homes, there was the sort of cowboy art contingent in Dallas, but it wasn't so much where we were focused.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was cool having this, this influence of the arts early on. I mean, I remember my mom buying us albums of Leonard Bernstein, a child's introduction to jazz. I remember those songs. America is a melting pot.
Yeah, I remember.
One of my first records.
Did you have the Arthur Fiedler children's album? The one?
Yeah, Peter and the Wolves.
Yeah, I used to listen to that all the time.
And we used to act all this stuff out.
Yeah.
It was, theater was kind of a theater and music, and we spent a lot of time going to museums, and my mom was really interested in helping artists too. So there was a big sense of sort of do good for the community, help people have better lives. I remember she helped a sculptor in Dallas. She paid for a young Latina girl to go to art school, and I still have a beautiful sculpture that this young woman made. And then when people would have their problems in their lives, relationship problems or something, somehow my mother was the one that everybody came to. Everybody considered my mom, the one that they would talk to about problems at home.
You have siblings?
So I have 2 brothers, and I had a sister. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us.
Oh,
but
that's too bad.
I'm really close. So they had 2 older siblings during the war. There was an incredibly difficult time. My dad was at Pearl Harbor, and they were married in Dallas, but had to move back to Pittsburgh because they needed to have some help of relatives, because my mom had 2 little babies. So they had these 2 babies very early in their marriage, and then they had moved back to Texas, where they had originally started their marital years, and decided things were better, and they decided to have another set. So
Okay.
I'm so lucky to have this my brother that's close to me in age, and we're incredibly tight. We talk today.
Okay.
And I'm really close to my other brother too. He's sweet.
And so I guess because you had an age difference, this might not be your experience, but I was wondering, because you were your mother was involved with the arts and you saw performance all the time, did you guys perform shows for company and stuff like that?
Oh my gosh, yes. First of all, we had all these puppets. There was a bar. My parents weren't big drinkers or whatever, but there was a bar with these little louvered windows, and we did puppet shows, and we had marionettes and sang, and we did all kinds of shows. It's just endless. It's like I'm too young for this, but those Judy Garland and Andy Rooney, didn't they have those early movies? Let's do a play, or let's do a...
Well, we used to do Disney. I mean, we had the
cool.
Disney songs,
Sure.
and we would all, lip sync to the, Bare Necessities or whatever.
Oh, cute. Well,
so
it's fun. I mean, Disney is great. And, we did a sort of like Broadway albums. We would act those out. As a matter, this is a kind of a funny story. When I went to so the public schools in Dallas were not so great because, you know, it's a really tough, you know, they were just teaching, God knows what. And my older brother, the one that's 12 years older than me, came to school here in Massachusetts. And he was an English major, believe it or not. This is really dates him. He went to Amherst College. And my mom, who was so self-educated, she used to read 3 and 4 books a week, was just blown away when she went to the parents' weekend with him, for him. And my brother was taking an English class with Robert Frost.
Wow.
And my mom was just, so she said, there's even a funny story with that. Apparently Robert Frost was a baseball guy. I don't know if you knew that. Right, know that. Right. And my dad, who was not into the arts at all, right, he was sort of practical, bootstraps guy, found out that Robert Frost was a baseball guy and marched up to him, and he told my brother, I'm going to go talk to Robert Frost. Anyway, and so, and my brother was mortified, you know, freshman in college, whatever.
Right.
He said, oh, no, please don't talk to him. Apparently, my dad just, like, marched up to him and started saying, I heard you like baseball. And they got into this huge conversation, I know, about sports. So it was funny. And, you know, that's how I feel like I take a little bit after my dad. He was really personable, you know, and everybody, he just put people at ease in that way. Anyway, so it always amazed me that he could pull things off that seemed really crazy, like forget people's names or tell them they didn't look so well, but people sort of forgave him because he was really well-meaning, was very sincere. Anyway, so I got lost. Let's see. So
we're talking about performing,
right? So then when we came back, when they came back to Dallas, they decided to put my brother, that was closer to me in age, in private school because they were so interested in giving us what they didn't have, right? Mm-hmm. So they ended up sending me to an all-girls school. That's where I was going with the story. So, and I went back to a reunion at I think it was maybe 20 years, 20-year reunion, and saw the woman who had taught me second grade. And she recounted this story about me. She said, we were there at second grade, and then you said, let's do a show. And she said, well, we can't do a show. We don't have any costumes. And apparently, I don't remember this, but she said that I said, oh, we'll make costumes. And she said, well, out of what? And I said, well, out of newspaper. And apparently the whole class made newspapers, costumes that we cut out, and we painted them all, and we did a show. And I kind of think that's what we did at my house. And I always had that idea of, you know, just have some fun and live in a different kind of a world.
Right, it's fun to pretend.
It was. I had a fun time, and I was so happy to have my brother went on to do really amazing things. He actually was a drama major in college and had a show on Broadway.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it was really
like
really
a one-man show, or
it was a 5-person show about American history called Tintypes, and it was really cool. And then he became a therapist, and my story is that I then later went into the health profession. So we both kind of took from both of our parents of, you know, doing something in the clinical world with the artistic world. Sort of funny.
Okay, that's interesting.
It is, yeah.
And so you want to do another song before we talk some more?
Okay, I'm going to pick up other guitar, which is hopefully still tuned. Let's see. What was I going to do? Make sure this guy's still tuned. I think I'll do this winter love song. Having grown up in Texas, we had no ice skating except if you went to an ice skating rink where nobody knew how to ice skate. But anyway, I wrote a song that's sort of an ode to winter.
Okay.
And it's called Meet Me in the Moonlight, kind of a romantic one. My days filled up with screens and schedules. I've learned most of life's fundamentals, but my heart keeps telling me to run away. Skipping out would be atrocious. Just keep the promise and stay in focus. The night's moon shadows blur, but amplify my longing for the love that you, just only you, can satisfy. I'm ready now to loosen my grip. Now I can let it all slip away. Come meet me in the moonlight. Together we'll get it right. The light shines in the filtered glow as we just try to let it go. We'll wander by the frozen lake. The moonlit path will heal our heartache. We'll forget about the frostbite as we hold each other tight. Come meet me in the moonlight. Won't you meet me in the moonlight? Come on and meet me in the moonlight. We've come to where the skaters glide. Just one misstep and we collide. But we found our way and we feel just fine. Together we can let it go. Just move into the rhythms we know. As we glide, I feel you sway and I respond. It feels so right, and now we know. How could this feeling be wrong? We wonder now that the fear is gone, if this is a love we can count on. As the moon's glow surrounds us, I feel your warmth. Our love's much stronger than ice. It cannot be shattered, not melted, not scattered. My heart knows what to do. It's you I long to be with tonight. Together we'll get it right. The light shines in the filtered glow as we just try to let it go. We'll wander by the frozen lake. The moonlit path will heal our heartache. We'll forget about the frostbite as we hold each other tight. Come meet me in the moonlight. Won't you meet me in the moonlight? Come on and meet me in the moonlight tonight. Thanks, Aaron.
That was great. So, are we? Are you? Writing songs all the time? Like you have a lot coming out or lately? Or
Well, lately I've been incredibly busy. So fortunate to, I think I played maybe like every night of the week for like 4 days in a row, and then a break, and then more. I just played at this wonderful winter potpourri at the Linden Tree Coffee House. I was fortunate enough to be selected by a random draw to perform with fantastic musicians in a lineup of 8 acts competing for a spot to open there in another season, plus the wonderful opener, Kirsten Manville, and Peter Lehndorff as the winner of last year. You know, and Kenny Seltzer joined me for my set of 2 originals. It was really great fun. You know, I wasn't expecting that I would have been selected and wasn't, but it was really fun, and I was incredibly happy to have the opportunity to do it and meet wonderful people and play in front of such a big house. So, you know, over 100 people heard us, and I think we did our very best, and so it was fun. And, you know, so there was a big lead up to that, and then there were lots of other gigs recently. So I haven't been writing a lot, but I definitely want to get some time, even have another show coming up between the holidays, between Christmas and New Year's. But I'm going to be, then starts right up again in the first of the year with more features and this and that, you know, more shows. But I definitely want to have more time to write. It's fun. I like to write. I sit there and, you know, come up with different ideas. It's interesting. So that's one hat you're wearing is singer, songwriter, performer. But you wore another hat as well. What is? You want to talk about what else you do? Sure. Well, you know, I think I like to think of my life in kind of 3 acts. Sort of starting off with my love of music, and then when I went off after being at this girls' school for so long, you know, where I always was the one with the strong voice, and I always sang the male roles, or I was the witch, or the character actress, or the prostitute, or the old ladies, or whatever. Then off to college, I sang my voice lessons, and they found out that I could sing really high notes, so I got pegged as a lyric soprano in college and started doing this classical. And, you know, right away they threw me into big honkin' roles, you know, like Madame Butterfly. So it was crazy. I know. And my mom loved it. She used to always say, oh, sing Butterfly. Anyway, long and short of it is that I got really into it, as I seem to do with everything. You know, I decided to major in music in college, and, you know, sang my senior recital as a junior. So finished all that, and then had this opportunity to study abroad. So I went overseas and studied in Vienna, Austria. And so that was an interesting thing. And when I was there, unfortunately I was in a pretty bad car accident. So, but if you had to be in a car accident, Vienna, Austria turned out to be a pretty good place to have one, because they do so much skiing there that they had really advanced orthopedic surgery, of which I needed quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, you know, so I spent a long time, you know, basically in bed and, you know, going for a couple of surgeries. And then, you know, I came back to the States just because I really couldn't take care of myself very much. And everybody said to me, oh, you know, Roberta, just stay home, just forget it. But of course I went back, of course, because I'm just like that. And anyway, I had this kind of big experience of what it's like to be a patient. And you know, I had a lot of blood loss. Sorry about this, guys. And trying to figure out just how to take care of myself. So, and because my family had, you know, were more in the medical end, you know, my dad in this field of optometry, and my other brother is a physician, I sort of started thinking about service in a different way. And I said, well, you know, maybe I should consider something else for my life. So I started first just trying to figure out how the heck to take care of myself. And then I came back to the States after 4 years over there. And, you know, did some singing when I first came to New York, but kind of realized pretty early on not only what a very difficult career path that opera singing is, but also that I had been, while it was super interesting, studying a kind of rarefied version of the music. This amazing stuff that was, I still love all the poetry of Goethe and all of that. It was fascinating, and a kind of a style that is almost not so much what was being used in American opera people. So
you speak German?
I do, and studied Italian and Spanish and a little bit of French. So, after 4 years in Vienna. So, and I'm also Jewish, and of course my parents weren't too thrilled about me selecting Vienna, Austria, this place where I live. I had some pretty wild experiences there.
Although based on The Sound of Music, the Austrians were not really sympathetic to
No,
the Nazis,
there is an old joke that when God created the world, he decided to make the most beautiful place in the world and created Austria, and then looked at it, decided it wasn't fair, and he made the Austrians. I don't know. There are some lovely Austrians. But I had a really hard, you might imagine, a really hard transition from being a girl from Dallas, where I had never experienced anti-Semitism or things like that, really overtly like that. But I certainly had quite a lot of it in Austria. It was really very dramatic. Even my own singing teacher, may she rest in peace, had a lot of, it was tough. But it was very good for me as a young person. I was only 20 when I went there, to really learn a lot about the world that I had never really experienced, and learn to do things on my own in a way that I was just there. And anyway, so I sort of found my way into thinking about service. And so when I came back to New York after a lot of soul searching, I said, well, how can I've spent all these years. By that point, it was 7 years as a music student, right? In addition to all the stuff I did, in school. And I actually just bit the bullet and went back to school and took all the music theory, all of those courses, and applied them as an elective to get a Bachelor of Science, and then went to get a degree in nutritional science, which I did that first as an undergrad, and then went on to grad school and learned biochemistry. And the great irony of it was that in college I always was putting off the science requirement, and then I end up getting 2 science degrees. So funny, but the idea of having a career which had a lot of meaning to me as making a real difference in people's health is so important, and how one takes care of oneself is very intimate, So my career was always so I had, the long and short of it is that I managed to have a super long career in the field of nutrition. And so, I worked in hospitals. I did some publishing. I was a camp dietitian. I just did everything under the planet, and worked at the Boston hospitals and had a private practice. It was really a very, very gratifying to do that work. But what I found is some of the conversations that I could engage in with people are a little bit more of an art. What do they say? That medicine is an art, and it can be medicine. So in some ways I felt that the stories that people would share with me, I felt so privileged to know a little bit more about them, and they would allow me into their lives. And sometimes the two intertwined. I was an oncology dietitian for a while at St. Elizabeth's. And I remember a patient who, of course, a lot of my patients didn't make it, right?
Right.
So I remember a Franciscan patient of mine who was really not doing very well, and it was winter, and it looked like he wasn't going to make it to the spring. Anyway, I went in his room one time, and he knew that I loved opera, and he said, would you sing for me something? So I sang. I shut the door. I had my white lab coat on. And I sang Mimi's aria, about the hope, the frozen spring, but the first ray of sunshine.
Can you still do it?
No, well, that's the funny thing. Of course, now my that part of my voice is gone. But if you bring it down a few octaves, I guess. I mean, but it was really funny, and he was so thrilled, you know, to have this little serenading, and I held his hand, and you know, sometimes the nutrition went in really weird ways, you know, but it was really gratifying. And Act 3 was coming back to this, but I was able to keep a little music going during those years when I was raising my family. Of course, I did like some soprano solos in churches. I was a soprano soloist and the Messiah with the orchestra, and did their Easter shows with like the Brahms Requiem. That was great fun.
Right.
Love that. You know, that song that I just sang, the bridge is inspired by Brahms. You know, that, let's see. As the moon's glow surrounds us, I feel your warmth. Our love's much stronger than ice. It cannot be shattered, not melted, not scattered. Anyway, that's from a Brahms song a little bit, borrowed from a Brahms song about having a love that's so strong that can't ice nor steel can tear it apart.
Oh, wow.
I know. So it's a song called Von ewige Liebe.
Well,
It's
let's put a pin in that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we can start talking a little more about that. But I want to do a quick break here.
Sure.
So we, at the Hearing Room, are looking for members, and I wanted to mention that membership is what's supporting us at this point. It's $100 a year to be a member. What that gets you is $5 off on all events, and you also get a T-shirt and a membership card and the satisfaction of knowing you're supporting the Hearing Room. Also, you get invited to the membership meetings, and you get a vote, and you get to decide the future of the Hearing Room. So membership is very important. It's going to help keep our doors open, and if you come here and you participate in events and you played here, it's a great thing to help us out. So please check out our website at hearingroom.net, and you can find out more about membership. Also, we want to thank the Greenville Junction Shop. They're very supportive of the Hearing Room, and they're also supportive of this podcast. So the Greenville Junction Shop is located in Greenville, New Hampshire, and Clinton, Massachusetts. The Greenville Junction Shop is an upcycling shop. They sell used items, household items, furniture, toys, games, electronics, anything that they can find that is reusable. They will find it, refurbish it, and sell it to you. So please check them out on Facebook. They are spelled Greenville, Greenville, Junction, Junktion, Shoppe, Shoppe. The Greenville Junction Shop is on Facebook, and they also have items for sale on Facebook Marketplace. So it's a great place to go. I have bought several things there, and I will buy more in the future. So please check them out, and you can shop there as well, and they do estate and garage clean out if you need that. And as somebody who has kind of a lot of stuff, it's not a bad idea to get somebody to come take a look at some of it and see if it can be resold. So Greenville Junction Shop, please check them out. And we're back with Roberta Lamb. So Roberta, you were talking about Brahms and your song.
Well, music. And I was just saying that I was so happy and fortunate to be able to weave music into my life during my years as a registered dietitian, nutritionist. It was, this is an interesting one. When my kids were pretty small, unfortunately my mom passed away. My mom, who was, mother of Pearl, she was just, my maiden name is Pearl, and my mom, this artistic lover of arts. And after she passed, of course, it was super hard for me, and I really wanted to do something to heal myself, even while I was working as a dietitian. And I had all this years of the other music behind me. So I moved, of course I was in Boston at this point, and come to find out that there wasn't much going on in the opera world. Sarah Caldwell had been here, and kind of a lot of people had paid a lot of money and been very frustrated with what went down, and so there really wasn't a lot going on. So I had this idea of producing an opera in Boston. So I actually founded an opera company that performed opera in English with a mission to make opera more accessible in the summer. And I used my skills that I learned as a public health student to write grants, and we got money from, Mass Cultural Council, and it was really cool. Anyway, so here I was, like, literally ripping off my lab coat, running off to produce opera, and then my kids were kind of coming, and my dad was elderly at this point, but he, of course, hated the opera, but he would... Right. We dragged him along, and by the end, we did a production of a funny one, the Barber of Seville, and he loved it. He said, "Oh, I want to come to rehearsal. I want to keep going." It was fun. So it was great, and we were able to get a lot of young artists working, and but I had to negotiate with unions. So we had to give the orchestra a certain amount of break. So producing opera was a labor of love, let me tell you. But I learned a lot about being on the other side of the production, the business end of music. Boy, it's a tough business, but it's cool, and it's magic when it all comes together. So it was a great experience, and I was able to do that while I was doing the nutrition. And then I sort of found myself now at this stage of my life where, I think that time of the opera is sort of past, and I found myself just wanting to just entertain, just have as a hobby. So I picked up a guitar a few years ago, and I don't know, I've been having so much fun. But this is sort of my third act here. And the nutrition stuff is very much dialed down at this point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember you told me you were retiring, and then they pulled you back in.
Well, yeah, I do a little bit. I mean, I worked at one of the hospitals in town on a part-time basis and had a private practice. I guess I theoretically still have a private practice, but I gave up my office. I had a lovely office, and now I just do a little bit of things where I actually work at a school where some of the students struggling with, as I mentioned, sometimes it's not about the food, it's about sort of the whole person. And so, then I work with a team, so work with physicians and therapists and everybody else. It takes a village, as they say.
It does.
But it's very, very rewarding to see, to be able to, pay it forward to the next generation, and keeps you sort of thinking and understanding what's going on in the field. Boy, the field of nutrition is really, just been amazing over the course of my career. So many things have happened.
And changed.
But still basically, right, it's that famous, what was that scene in Sleeper, in Woody Allen's Sleeper, where they're all talking about health food, and they say, I think, what is it, that chocolate, and it's all health food now, but they didn't used to think it was, or what, right. It's how everything just turns around and changes. I mean, it's constantly changing.
Well, everybody uses the example of eggs.
Right.
Eggs good, and then eggs bad, and then eggs good again, and then, So.
I had one of my professors at UCLA did a famous egg study, and it was very, very controversial, but she totally proved that eggs were fine to eat. I'm a big fan of eggs. As a matter of fact, one of our open mic hosts raises chickens and passes out eggs at some of the open mics, and boy, I'm the first to snatch my eggs if I can get them.
He doesn't throw them at you, does he?
No,
okay,
he doesn't throw them. One time I gave some eggs to somebody, and they were worried that they might be I don't know. It's funny, but it's really gratifying to be able to have brought the music through my experiences, and then even with my family. Right, my son was a drummer, and I think they appreciate music a lot. My daughter, just told me that her latest purchase is a record player and a whole stereo system that they're, refurbishing all of this stuff out on the West Coast. They don't want anything but vinyl, so, wow.
I still got mine.
I know. Well, I sent my boxes of all my old, everything. Yeah. I actually mailed them out to her. She's thrilled. She's got quite a collection. But vinyl's the way to go now.
Of course, all the music is from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but that's all right.
But they know it all.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go to garage sales to get vinyl for 25 cents, 50 cents, because everybody's getting rid of their records.
I know.
And so I built this collection out of people's used records, and they were in good shape. And now I've got complete collections of different 60s artists. It's great.
That's cool. Cool. It's great music.
Yeah. And speaking of great music, you got another song?
Oh, sure. Well, maybe, I think before we get too far off from my sweet dad, I know I keep talking about him, but I did write a song for my dad, and then maybe after this I'll bring Kenny Seltzer up to do a couple songs with me when we're ready for the next. But this is kind of an earlier song. It's a little more reminiscent of this sort of more leader style song style. It's called Daddy Debonair, about my dad and his very, very humble roots. Let's see. Here we go. You've heard it before in American folklore, how a tough start can give a man a heart. From roots without much, he learned the common touch and earned trust and respect from afar. His home life a mess, his mother depressed, her man left her for a new wife. The boys had each other, and one after another they struggled to make good on life. So Daddy Debonair took special care to always be true to his nature, minding the store with vision galore. He never was a faker. His silver cufflinks weren't his only treasures. His heart and soul came along with his lectures. His strength and drive ensured he'd survive. But I was the lucky one to get Daddy's affection. Not just debonair, he was a great guy. Thanks to you, Daddy-o, for your great cameo. Here's to you and your handsome bow tie. With grit and some breaks, he avoided mistakes, and he dressed like a debonair dude. With charm and humility, he provided stability, and I hardly saw him unglued. He was caring and honest. He kept his promises. He was not just my friend and ally. But I learned later on it was more than his brawn. He stood out for his care and concern. With his advice unsolicited, he was so uninhibited. I know he was trying his best. I refused his advice and was not always years I complained that I was oppressed, but he kept his cool, and thanks to his love, my life's good, more or less. 'Cause Daddy Debonair took special care to always be true to his nature, minding the store with vision galore. He never was a faker. His silver cufflinks weren't his only treasures. His heart and soul came along with his lectures. His strength and drive ensured he'd survive. But I was the lucky one to get Daddy's affection. Not just debonair, he was a great guy. Thanks to you, Daddy-o, for your great cameo. Here's to you and your handsome bow tie. Thanks, Aaron.
So I like that. I've heard that before. That Daddy Debonair. It's kind of a nice phrase.
You should have seen that. Well, you know, considering he grew up in dire poverty. He was a twin, and their father left with an older brother, and the father left when my grandmother was in utero with the twins. Mm-hmm. And there are pictures of my dad with just like a rag around his head as an infant. He and the twin brother, and you know they were, you know, really really tough times. But yet he never complained. He always talked about the wonderful good fortune that he had, the Boy Scout leaders, the uncles, his opportunity to sell concessions at the old Forbes Field where the Pittsburgh Pirates played, and just an incredibly humble guy. He actually met Honus Wagner when he was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
I know. He was playing a pickup game in the park, and Honus Wagner came over and approached my dad and some of his friends when they were little and said, like, what do you kids do? And they said, we're playing baseball. And he started playing with them. He said, what's that? And they said, well, you know, you take the stick and da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And then my dad looked at him and said, wait, I know who you are, you know. So it was really fun. But anyway, he always talked about his good fortune. And then when he first started in optometry, you used to be able to get your glasses only in a jewelry store a long time ago. So he was able to, you know, work and then get discount to have like cufflinks and some jewelry, but he dressed really nicely. And it was really, you know, so there are these pictures of him. He looked so dapper, you know, so that's where I came up with that Daddy Debonair.
That's great. And so you want to do one with Kenny?
Yeah. Let's see if we can coax Kenny into playing over here.
What are we going to listen to?
Well, maybe we'll do kind of a bit more lively tune.
Okay.
If that's cool. This is a song, it's a little bit, you want to do It Takes Two? Okay, why don't we do that? This is kind of a breakup song. Yeah, take your time. Kind of about a breakup of a relationship and all that went on with that. So we did this one the other night. It was fun. Kind of a tango, flamenco. You know, when I was in third grade, I took a little Spanish, a little guitar, and I had a teacher who was really good and taught some of my colleagues, and she went off to Santa Fe. And I'm still in touch with my friends that took lessons with Mrs. Mackey.
Oh, yeah.
And she taught us some flamenco stuff, so that appears in this song. You ready, Kenny? Okay. It started out like a dream. We met for ice cream and my hopes were high. We conversed about travel, my trips to Seattle. He seemed like a great guy. Both of us older with grown-up kids, so God forbid if we turned a blind eye to what must have been there, but we were unaware, so we called the rabbi, we called the rabbi. We fixed up our house, me and my spouse, our kids got along. But it wasn't too long before I was strong-armed. I knew I didn't belong. Both of us older with grown-up kids, so God forbid if we turned a blind eye to what must have been there, but we were unaware. So we called the rabbi, we called the rabbi. It takes two to play chess, it takes two to process. It takes two to be nice, so take my advice. You better stay in step and not be a schlep. When one goes off kilter, the others bewilder, and what's left is a mess, causing hurt and distress. What started as love needs rebranding, or all that's left is misunderstanding. My feet were starting to bruise in that pair of tight shoes. Time to review. I thought that I could make do, till one day I knew my life would fall through. Folks would not understand how we'd come to the end of our rendezvous. Gotta get me some space, no longer face to face with you. I feel regrets as we divide our assets. We'll part as friends and we'll make our amends. True love will come along one day. For this divorcee, for this divorcee. It takes two to play chess, it takes two to process. It takes two to be nice, so take my advice. You better stay in step and not be a schlep. When one goes off kilter, the others bewilder, and what's left is a mess, causing hurt and distress. What started as love needs rebranding, or all that's left is misunderstanding. Thank you.
That was great.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
It's a treat to have you here playing with me.
A trick or treat?
Trick or treat, my gypsy, the gypsy licks. He adds those amazing gypsy licks to that song.
Yeah, it sounds Jewish.
It does?
Yeah, especially the melody. You're doing the flourishes
Right.
like the cantorial
Right.
soloists would do.
Well, it's a kind of a Spanish, but it sounds Ladino to me.
It does a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
So, well, your influences. What can I say?
Right.
That's what it is.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I like that one because you call the rabbi, and
Right.
I always remember that phrase. It sticks out.
Well, I kind of fancy myself a lyricist. I enjoy having fun with it. As I said, I don't know how it sits out there in the universe, but I will say that whenever I play this, people come up and I say, "What do you think of all the songs I'll do in a feature?" And a lot of people say, "Oh, that Latin one." So I don't know. I mean, to me, it was more therapeutic than anything, but it's certainly fun to play and sing.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks.
So, what other song are you going to do with Kenny? Why don't
Well,
we
I'm going
just
to do
go
one
right in
more
there?
with Kenny. There's a little song about kind of the challenges of relationships.
Okay.
Comparing and contrasting problems we have in relationships, whether they be internet dating or face-to-face or all the complications that go on in relationships, and the sort of steadfast steadiness that we experience when we share our time with our animal friends. So anyway, it's called Four-Legged Love. Not about bestiality, but no, but it's
That wasn't where I was going.
no, I know. I play it sometimes, and people, my son even said, "What? The dog's gonna?"
Okay, I guess we'll hear.
It's Four-Legged Love. It's kind of a fun one. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2. We reach for the stars in our quest for adventure. We hunger for love, no matter our gender. Some go searching online for that one special Valentine on Tinder, a match. Are they wasting their time? Staring at our screens gives us plenty of means, but electronic love ain't what it seems. First you're posted and then you're ghosted. Who knows their motive? Then you're left high and dry and wondering why. But four-legged love is one for the ages. We give them our hearts and they are our sages. Their love's unconditional, they never talk back. They agree with our politics and don't give us flack for our quirks and shortcomings, despite their misgivings. Their misgivings. From felines to turtles, they try not to hurt us. Find a four-legged friend for the best dividends. Best dividends. Those sweet smiling faces almost never abrasive. Understanding our moods without attitude. So I'll stay home and struggle as I learn to uncouple and let go of words and find love on new terms. my four-legged lady. But four-legged love is one for the ages. We give them our hearts and they are sages. Their love's unconditional, they never talk back. They agree with our politics and don't give us flack for our quirks and shortcomings, despite their misgivings. Their misgivings. From felines and turtles, they try not to hurt us. Find a four-legged friend for the best dividends. Best dividends. Thanks.
That was just great.
Thank you.
Four-legged friends.
From her album.
From my album.
Yeah? Your first album.
My first album. Yeah.
Because there'll be a second sometime coming.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, definitely.
So, so we were talking about how you feel about music and everything, and what is your process that you've learned to do when you're trying to come up with music, when you're trying to do songwriting? What is it like for you?
Well, first I have to be alone and quiet, which is really great now that I'm less busy with the nutrition work, right? Mm-hmm. So I need to have sort of a quiet place. And sometimes I get some ideas when I'm out and about, like, say, riding or walking, but alone, just sort of in my head. And then I've done different things. I really enjoy, although I only have one tune in an alternate tuning. That's the first song I sang, Let's Drink to That. But I really am very intrigued with those, different tunings on the guitar and some sort of different kinds of harmonies. I think you can hear some of that in my songs. Sometimes I just sit at the guitar and sometimes a little bit at the piano, and we'll futz around a little bit with sounds and chords. Mm-hmm. I think chords really rock my world. I'm really into like combinations that are different. So I kind of start a little bit with that. And once I get maybe like a little bit of a beginning of a something that I think is a cool tune, I put that aside, and then I start fooling around with words. And of course, I mean, the great songs are the ones that have that hook. We just did the other night at as the finale, "Help Me, Rhonda." Like, such a simple song, such a repetition, such a great little hook. "Help Me, Rhonda," right? So I haven't really mastered that yet, but I'm working on it. But I try to come up with something that would be like Daddy Debonair, or I have a song about my daughter called Rebel in the Crib, or something that I think is sort of an interesting place to start.
Oh, I think I want to hear that.
Oh, really? I wasn't going to do it, but
all right. I like
really?
Rebel
You
in
like
the Crib?
Rebel in the Crib?
Yeah.
It's funny. I might enlist Kenny to play it with me. Hey, Kenny, you want to play Rebel in the Crib?
Oh, he just put his guitar away.
Oh, okay.
He'll get it out again, right?
You want to play
Kenny?
Rebel in the Crib? Anyway, really, you like to hear that? Okay.
Yeah.
But something that's kind of, and then I'll sit with just trying to come up with words, and that to me is fun because I feel really comfortable in the world of lyrics and rhymes and things like that. So I don't know, it's kind of fun. I'm surprised you want to hear this. I hadn't planned, but it's good. It's good.
I like this song.
It's funny, everybody likes something different. Somebody told me that they really liked the song. It was a physician, though. You'll know why he liked it when you hear the lyrics.
A crib manufacturer liked it too.
Yeah, crib manufacturer, right? Let's see. It was my first foray into what blues-ish, right? You ready, Kenny? All right. Our firstborn was due, it was time to come through. She was due any day now, getting it done, to heck with the fun. waiting for my little baby. She was the rebel in the crib, threw her mama in the hay-fib, a rebel in the crib. I read all the right books, hope she get my good looks. My little baby, she arrived on the scene, so far from serene. She went, wah, when she was hungry. Before she was verbal, her face turned bright purple, the rebel in the crib. Refusing to sleep made us all weep if we didn't rock and cajole her. By the time she was one and had found her right thumb, I was wiser but so much older. Her first word was ball, she connected with them all. Ooh, she loved baseball. She beamed her grandpa, she nearly broke his jaw. Miss Flaxen, our shoeless Joe Jackson, she was the rebel in the crib, threw her mama in the hay-fib, rebel in the crib. As she grew tall, her life force never wavered. She led her peers, and by teachers she was favored. She found her voice and rallied for the timid. But by then her mama was ready to be committed. My sweet wildebeest was charming at least, as long as she was fed and well rested. She ruled the house, not up to my spouse. He never could say no to his darling dynamo, looking fine in her bib, the queen of women's lib, the rebel in the crib. She was the rebel in the crib, threw her mama in the hay-fib, rebel in the crib. She was the rebel in the crib, threw her mama in the hay-fib, rebel in the crib. There you go.
Nice.
That's funny. Yes, there really is a rebel in the crib.
Rebel in the crib, threw her mama into a-fib. That's the part I like.
That was fun.
good.
It's fun to play.
Yeah, it's a fun song.
It's fun.
All right, Kenny, you're relieved.
Thank you. Good to
So let's give Kenny a round of applause.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kenny. Sure. You bring so much light and bright and talent.
Yeah, that's Kenny Seltzer, and we'll be interviewing him at some point down the road. I will anyway, not we will, but
Right, the royal we.
the royal we. So he'll be on the podcast in a few months or so. So what else did you plan on playing?
Well, I hadn't really. You want more music, yeah.
Not only, but yeah. I mean, what I wanted to do is, toward the end, what I do is I ask people, what advice do you give other musicians about how to be a part of this community and how to get gigs and do songwriting and pretty much anything related to being a local musician. What does that mean to you, and how do you help other people do it?
Oh, is that now?
If you'd like to talk about that, yes.
Well, it really is all about being true to yourself and as an artist and as a human being and being authentically yourself. So be in your own voice, and that part is for the artistic part, I think, and be, of course, I keep telling myself to just go gently, to be patient, and I'm not at all. I keep going out and expecting, myself to be, better than I am. But I have seen some change even in my own progress at this advanced age. And so, I think it's really good to just keep at it. But in terms of getting out there, I think it's so much of it is really being wanting the best for everybody, so the people who do the sound and the people who have to do the production, the people who have to do the promo, and the people that have to, that maybe even sell the concessions, or the people, even the bookers who turn you down. I try to be compassionate with them because I think that they're trying to put together an interesting evening. And of course, they're under great pressure to sell whatever it is they're selling, seats, alcohol, food, right? And they want to develop an audience. So sometimes there are things that you could never know that go on with these folks. And I think it must be very hard to be in the position to turn people away. So I always try to breathe some good energy and friendliness towards all those people. And of course the artists, because we're all like putting ourselves completely on the line and,
right.
Sharing like such personal stuff. And some people are more comfortable than others in front of different size and different types of rooms. Of course, one thing that has been really fun for me is going to lots of different places and always playing in a different room, different sounds, different mics, different people. And, sometimes the experiences are painful, but, then I keep a kind of a record in my mind of what works for me and how I do better. And, you just have to be so darn flexible. It's like anything else in life, right? I mean, I think raising kids is a really great experience for being a good performer. I was a Girl Scout mom and a Cub Scout leader. I mean, I think I did the Roslindale Porch Fest, and I was so excited, and it was all set up. And I arrived early. They had all the sound equipment, all of these wonderful people worked tirelessly with the wires and the microphones and everything, all set up there in Roslindale. And then it started to rain. And so they just brought everybody, inside where they normally hold the Roslindale open mic. And everybody but it was kind of too late at this point. They kept waiting for the rain to pass. And so we just all played just for each other without any miking whatsoever. And, you have to be able to really jump out. Of course, me with my singing, I was only thrilled.
Right.
Sing out, Louise,
Right.
It was like, boom. So it was fun. I didn't mind at all. But I think you just have to be prepared for what any circumstance might be. And sometimes, there are emergencies. How many times does it happen where someone is actually ill or something happens at a bar, God forbid, and somebody
right.
passes out and in comes the paramedics. I've been playing in Central Square once and in walks the paramedics in the middle of your thing,
Yeah, that's distracting a little bit.
Well, I know, but I think you have to be able to do it. And of course, I think one of the harder things is when people just sort of look blankly at you, or you're to me, the hardest one personally is as a room that's a very brightly lit, kind of a dry room where everybody is literally just right on top of it. Now, some people love that because it's really intimate. But to me, I'm happy with, a dark on a stage with lights, and I can't really see what's out there. And I just lose myself in it. And to me, that's fun. But I think that isn't for everybody. But I think it's find what really works for you. Yeah. And then, of course, just never take things personally, with rejection. I think you just have to just believe in the path. How many artists, how many great scientists were told what they were doing was, hogwash? How many times do people win the Nobel Prize late in their careers? Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes hindsight is where you really can see the path of where you were going, but it's kind of obscured when you're in the forest, right?
Right.
So that's one of the good things about getting older. You have enough history. I feel so, my heart aches with some of the young students I work with and some of the younger people. They just don't know what lies ahead. I mean, I remember even myself as a 20-year-old, off in Vienna. I didn't know that I would feel so comfortable with myself later,
mm-hmm.
And
well, you have to go through a period of finding yourself. So
right. So I think just giving yourself. I think this community is so amazing, and there's so much talent here. Oh my gosh!
Right.
Between the hardcore folk kind of people that just seems so, everything's so heartfelt and so accessible, and then some progressive rock and all kinds of things, and,
right.
and then all of these weird amalgams and the jazz people. I mean, it's just, I've been more inspired by the people that I actually meet and get to hear than really any sort of great people that tour or something.
Right.
It's just...
Well, it's amazing. You can get a show that's $10 or $15 locally that is just as good as some things you'll pay hundreds of dollars for. So some of the stuff we get here is amazing.
It's true, and it's true even with theater.
Right.
To hear like college performances, productions, they're excellent.
Right.
I know. So it's just, we're really lucky to be in this area. And I shout out to these other places that are not even Boston, but New Hampshire and Rhode Island too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of different, quite different.
Well, it's all New England, though. New England has a vibrant music community.
Really?
Yeah.
And really interesting people that do all kinds of things. And it's not just necessarily the highly educated. Sometimes the most people that have very humble jobs, are just amazing musicians. And I don't know where they get it all, but maybe somebody taught them. But it's kind of interesting how people got where they got.
So do you have one more song? Because we're about at the end here.
Oh, sure. Let's see. Let's see if we can... now, what was I thinking of? Maybe I'll do... I don't know. Maybe I'll do Rocky Soil. Maybe I'll do it solo. I don't know. This is the very first song I ever wrote.
Oh, okay. That would be good.
Now, normally I do it with Kenny, but he's not sort of in around, so I'll just maybe do it out solo, if that's okay. Yeah. Oh, there you are. You want to come and join me? All right, he's going to join me. So this is more of a... There's a good little story about this one. First song I ever wrote. It's kind of a metaphor of gardening as a metaphor for hard work. And we happened to be playing up at a coffee house where we were playing for meal and tips. Mm-hmm. I think you know the one, right?
Yeah.
Can we say it or no? All right.
Sure, you can.
We were playing up at Coffee, and on a beautiful October morning. And it turns out it was so beautiful that everybody in the whole area was out looking at leaves. So there wasn't a soul in the place, right?
Right.
So, and we're playing, and I think that the cooks wanted to go home, and the host had left. And so there were like 15 more minutes left before we really had to pack up. So I wanted to play this original song, and Kenny's laughing. He says, like, you're amazing at talking to an empty room. It's like, I'm just talking, I don't know. Does anybody like this? Anyway, in walks finally a couple. So they come in and they sit down and they order some food. And I say, oh, does anybody here like gardening? And the guy raises his hand and says, oh, he says, I'm a landscaper. So anyway, I play the song Rocky Soil. And while we're playing like another song, they get up to leave. They're finished their meal, and he puts the only tip in the bucket. He puts in a buck, and I have some merchandise. I say, well, take this, take one for your friend. So they leave, and we're packing up all our cables and everything like that, and packing everything up and saying goodbye and thanking everybody. And I said, oh, before you leave, grab that buck from the tip jar. It turns out the guy put in $100 bill.
Well, that was pretty good.
And we were really surprised. And so I said, well, I don't know. You never know. You never know. And you never know who's into whatever you got to say.
That's true. So
anyway, that's Rocky Soil. That's my Rocky Soil story. So here we go.
Well, let's hear it.
House lust was setting in, and I wanted a place to call home. A garden lush but manicured would be my next milestone. Driving by the trawlers, I found myself so jealous, just wanting my own footprints in the sun. The rocky soil hinted at, the sellers rushed to sell, to fill a hole and build a fence, but sellers never tell. The mulched and watered annuals were just misleading botanicals, staged for dreamers and believers just like me. Digging to discover what lies under cover, to make some sense of the world, to potter and wander with joys and with blunders. That's where my dreams are unfurled. They say hope springs eternal, but then I discover through rocky soil I'd find some peace. Trips from the compost enrich the soil day by day, left me sore and weak, losing hope for my hideaway. But give me time and a glass of wine, standing back I'd see the change. Seedlings had laid roots for the long range. To my surprise, the soil got better, and random thoughts began to subside. And by digging and scraping the weeds that were waiting, I was somehow renewed and revived. Digging to discover what lies under cover, to make some sense of the world, to potter and wander with joys and with blunders. That's where my dreams are unfurled. They say hope springs eternal, but then I discover through rocky soil I'd found my peace. Thank you.
Thanks, and thank you to Kenny for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kenny.
And thanks, Roberta, for being here tonight and sharing your stuff with us.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I'm so grateful to the work and the service that you do for the Hearing Room. It's a great place. I'll put a plug in, too. I'm a Hearing Room supporter, and I wear my T-shirt proudly.
Right.
Support the Hearing Room, guys.
As everybody should.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much. And I guess your website is robertalamb.com, correct?
robertalamb.com.
Okay.
You can go there and find the music, Not Your Mama's Blues, and check out our gig schedule. We play a lot together, and there's quite a lot coming up.
Okay. Well, thank you very much again. And we will, I'm sure, be hearing more from you in the future.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, and we will hear more from Kenny in the future specifically because he's going to be on the podcast eventually. So, I wanted to mention again that our website is hearingroom.net, and you can check out all our events and also check out how to become a member. We also want to thank Greenville Junction Shop. That's Greenville, JUNKTIONSHOPPE. Check out the Greenville Junction Shop and shop there in Clinton, Massachusetts, or in Greenville, New Hampshire for upcycled items. Everybody have a great few days, and you can listen in again on Thursday. We're going to have Michael Gutierrez-May on the show. So listen in. Thanks.
If you start with a dream and share it with some friends, the idea